Tonight, we'll be addressing the theme of burnout and how it applies in general settings, but also specifically within medical contexts, within medical professionals. So we have the great honor of having Drs. Maia and Marlon Danilovitz here with us tonight. So Dr. Maia will start us out with talking about how to prevent burnout. So Dr. Lev is an actively practicing doctor who is keen on the science of wellness, especially as it relates to the brain and neuroscience. Her past experience includes advanced studies in sensory neuroscience, neuroimaging, and a focus on neuropsychiatry during her training. She is certified as a yoga teacher and mindfulness instructor and leads retreats in Tofino for wellness and prevention of burnout. Her involvement with several clinics in Vancouver includes wellness services for professionals. She's also the founder and director of BrainTalks, so it's a real joy to have her here talking with us tonight. Just give me a warm round of applause.
Okay, can you hear me? Is that good? Okay. So welcome everyone. Happy to see you all here. I'm going to just get started. I probably over-prepared a little bit, so I'll flip through some of the slides a bit more quickly, but if there's anything that interests you, we can always talk about it at the end of the panel discussion. So burnout. So in terms of financial bias, I don't really have any. I just want to take a moment to thank the BrainTalks team. I think I saw Sonia in the audience over there. So there's a couple of people, so always our group of volunteers is amazing. It's great that Taylor started this up again. Sonia, Cassie, Alexander, Kawai, Dr. Honer have been huge supports of this series over the last 6 years. I just want to also say, because I practice as a psychiatrist, that my talk tonight is about wellness science. So it's for wellness and prevention. It's not supporting a psychiatric treatment currently. Okay, so what is burnout? Burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by long-term involvement in emotionally demanding situations. That's one definition. State of fatigue or frustration brought about by devotion to a cause, way of life, relationships that fail to produce the expected reward. So reward is something we're all interested in, and we seek it in various ways to stimulate our nucleus accumbens. But when we're not getting the reward, then our systems don't work so well. So I like the opposite of burnout is if you feel brilliant, if you feel vibrant, if you feel engaged. So if you're under pressure, you might feel like a piece of coal, but ideally you turn that pressure into something awesome, you become a diamond. It's also very helpful to realize that the body gives us cues. So if we are suffering from burnout, we might not recognize it at first, but it might start to show up as physical cues. So objectives, we're going to be burnout, wellness, and then we're going to talk about some practical approaches, some useful approaches. This is a beautiful picture of the brain. So I don't know if you know about the Human Connectome Project, but it's a bunch of researchers, psychiatrists, neurologists that are tracking the different neuronal connections in the brain and labeling them as to function, and they're just gorgeous maps of the brain that are being created. So burnout in the USA, there's a company called Kronos that did a huge analysis of companies and employees all over the US and found a huge amount of burnout due to sometimes unfair compensation, unreasonable workload, too much overtime after hours, poor management, mismatch between a person's role and the company's overall strategy, a negative workplace culture. The average work week is now 47 hours. The 9-to-5 workday has disappeared. People are answering emails, answering phone calls on their holidays, in their evenings, or their mornings. Doctors are experiencing burnout, so there's a doctor's shortage in the US, and over 50% of US physicians are feeling burnt out, and in Canada it's 50 to 70% more doctors are leaving medicine than ever before, and Marlon's going to speak to that in more detail soon. So that dark blue pie place there showing us how many people are dealing with stress. So stress, poor focus, fluctuating mood, fatigue are presenting as more and more common concerns in our population these days. So Molly Lombardi of one of the, what is it called? It's called Aptitude Partners, so Assessing Burnout, talks about how in this information day and age, people are getting overwhelmed by the information and they're more susceptible to burnout. And type A people who really want to succeed and know the answer are also feeling this. And you might even feel this if you're really keen to know the answer to something that's not quite clear yet and you embark on a Google search and several hours later you're like, oh, I haven't gotten the answer. There's so much information out there. So some of the causes of burnout here. I'm just going to go through this quickly because I really want to focus on what are some of the possible solutions that we can consider. Really important to differentiate between burnout and depression. So about half of depression, or 1/3 of depression, so 1/3 to half of depression isn't really treated by our current measures. So a lot of people are looking for answers. One of the answers might be that you're misdiagnosed with depression when you actually have burnout. So these are some of the differences between burnout and depression. Depression, you lose your function. Burnout, you're still fully functioning, but you're not feeling that joy, that spark that you would normally feel in your life. You're at risk if you identify too strongly with work, try to be everything to everyone. You work in a helping profession, try to go that extra mile. You feel like you have little or no control over your work, your job is monotonous. This can lead to excessive stress, and then if you look down that list of the consequences, actually physical problems, and we know now that stress is a significant exacerbator of chronic medical conditions. So this is the retreat center I work at, and I love it there. So I was meditating, like just wishing that I could work at a retreat center in Tofino and how awesome that would be, but I don't have the money to buy property and all this. And I was just thinking, oh, wouldn't that be great? And then I kept going to Tofino, and someone came to me and they said, hey, there's a retreat center starting up, you might be interested. And I was like, yes! So one of the reasons I love it is that I have a tendency to work too hard and feel a little burnt out at times, and when I go to Tofino, there's something about the surfing, the sleep there, the fresh air that's different than yoga or running or all the other things I try. So there's something deeply recharging about just getting away from it all and being submerged in the wilderness. So wellness. So these are my little formula that I like to think of in terms of thinking of wellness. So 7 key factors. So starting with sleep. Sleep is so important, as you might know. So when we go into a deep stage of sleep, so we start off our evening sort of dipping into sleep a little bit more, and then we go into a nice deep stage of sleep. And in that deep stage, we have these beautiful star-shaped cells called astrocytes that take the junk out of our neurons, put it into our blood, and our liver then detoxifies it out of our body. So it's really important to reach that deep stage of sleep and to supply those neurons with what they need. So they do need glutathione to help detoxify the body. So that's one thing you might have been reading about more recently. Also, you might have heard about aligning your sleep with the circadian rhythm. So you want to get to sleep before 11 o'clock at night. And if you do that, you're going to have better mood, less anxiety, better memory the next day. 5 hours of sleep or less per night is going to result in cognitive dysfunction. So unfortunately, we are seeing more people with early onset dementia, frequently people who are burning the midnight oil. They're getting dementia at age 40, 45, and they're having to see psychiatrists and do a lot of work to try to get their brains back. So it's really important to do that. Your sleep loss will actually impair your function so much that you're like a drunk driver, and accidents related to sleep are equivalent to that of people who are impaired from drunk driving in terms of the cost, the injuries, the mortality risk. So this is a picture of a human astrocyte. So that's in your brain. This is one of the many studies on Alzheimer's disease. So the theory is that when you don't clean those products out of your brain, you leave junk in your brain that collects plaques and tangles, and that leads to your Alzheimer's. So that's just more about the astrocytes. They're also involved in synaptic plasticity. So synaptic plasticity is when you have two neurons talking to each other and the changing of the synapse between that. I'm just going to put this down for a moment. So it's really cool. There's some real-time videos out there now of the optogenetics of neurons. And you can see that when you learn new things, one neuron will reach out a branch to another neuron, and there'll actually be a synapse that will start to build up over time. So you're actively redesigning your brain when you're creating new learning. And if it's something that you're not doing anymore and you have a synapse that was built up before, it'll start to fade away and then disappear. So we do some of this in sleep as well when we integrate our knowledge and our memories. Okay, more astrocytes just so pretty. Okay, exercise. So we're kind of trained in our culture to take something to make us feel better, but there's a lot that we can actually do to make us feel better, and exercise is one of those things. It's just phenomenal. It boosts your endorphins, it boosts your BDNF, your brain-derived neurotrophic factor that helps your brain grow. It actually boosts serotonin, it clears stuff out of your system, so it detoxifies you, gets rid of anxious chemicals, too much norepinephrine is actually prescribed for post-traumatic stress disorder for that reason. Regular cardiovascular exercise has also been shown to reduce cognitive decline, and it increases your parasympathetic tone. So do you guys know what your parasympathetic tone is? First question. You guys are like, asking questions? Okay, I don't have to get you to answer, but it's your rest and digest mode. So a lot of us in our lives today, we're going from thing to thing, we're on the computer, we're often in our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight system. So that's what we would use if we were going to run away from a tiger. And that gets our amygdala firing, gets our heart rate up, gets our blood pressure up. So that can lead to inflammation and exacerbate stress and illness. And so you want to get more into your parasympathetic mode, which is your rest and digest mode, makes you feel relaxed. So that's when the body heals itself better, reduces inflammation. So exercise is a good way to get into that mode. Anything else there? When you're sweating, so if you look online, I've been teaching some hot yoga, so I was curious, well, what is the science of hot yoga, and does this really work? People say, no, you don't sweat out chemicals. You do. So you actually can measure a lot of things in sweat, and you can assess the health of the body through the sweat. So they're looking at more measures to use that in medicine today, and you do see phthalates and bisphenol A, which are some of the containers our fooders in our beauty products, and they do come out through the sweat and the skin. So it actually is a detoxification process. Okay, so this is the neurodevelopmental theory of emotional wellness. So started by child psychiatrists and psychologists, clinicians. So when you look at the brain, it first develops the brainstem, so that's that red part there, and then the limbic system, the emotional system, the blue, and then the green, which is your prefrontal cortex, where you do all your 2 + 2 = 4, your organizing, your executive function, your logic. So exercise supports the survival state so that you feel like you are secure, you are safe. There's studies that show if you're walking, you're running, you're doing bilateral movements, you're going to balance that part of your brain, and you're going to learn how to manage your emotions better, and you're then going to learn better. So with children, they do this kind of work and find that people who had, kids who had ADHD or behavioral problems in school, within 1 to 2 years of this programming, start to be able to actually do quite well in school and focus and concentrate. Exercise also helps the prefrontal aspect of your brain, and that's related to your processing speed and your mental clarity. You can also reset it through other ways. We'll talk about those in a moment. Okay, do you guys know what this is? Yeah. So those are, you probably know them. They're located within your cell already, and they're little powerhouses of energy. They also protect our DNA. They signal cell death. They maintain the electrochemical integrity of the cell, and they signal cell reproduction. They maintain glutathione levels as well. Do you remember what glutathione was important for? Pardon? Does it say PCP? What? It's for detoxification, for the astrocytes to pull those products out of the neurons. Okay, so BDNF, you guys have probably heard about this. It's becoming more and more commonplace for people to be interested in this. So BDNF does actually help your brain grow. And there was some controversy that maybe the adult brain doesn't continue to grow, but research has found new neurons growing in adult hippocampus. So there are adult hippocampi So we are always growing new neurons in our brain. So if we can do things that boost our BDNF, we can boost our brain power and protect ourselves from burnout. So these are pictures from a study that came out in 2018, and those bright green areas are where the new neurons are growing in the hippocampi. That's your hippocampi there. It's called the hippocampus because it looks like a hippo, which is in Latin a seahorse. It sort of kind of curls up like a seahorse when you see it on its own. And this is my PDF version of the GIF, so it's not rotating, but it's located right about here in your brain. Okay, so nutrition. So I gave a talk recently, and a lot of people were really curious about this. There's a lot of information coming out around nutrition that can keep you healthy and well and keep you from feeling fatigued and burnt out. So you've probably heard about the gut microbiome, tons of bacteria in there. We create a lot of neurotransmitters in there. 80 to 95% of our serotonin is created in our gut. And disruption in the gut is being linked to a lot of illnesses, including depression, ADD, autism, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease. And it's also deeply connected to our stress response, which is the HPA axis, your hypothalamus, your pituitary, and your adrenal axis. It's also important to check for deficiencies. So if you are feeling burnt out, it might be as simple as you're low on magnesium or zinc, vitamin D, B12. There are some fancier ways to check to see if even if that does show up as normal in your blood, it actually might be depleting your cells. So a functional medicine doctor can look for that. You need to check your ferritin, of course, and even if your hemoglobin is normal, you can still have low ferritin contributing to fatigue. And these are some of the doctors in the States that are part of this new movement of functional medicine that looks at all the deeper aspects of the biology of your body that might not show up on your regular lab tests. Sugar has been linked to depression, dementia. So we're 44% increased rates of Alzheimer's in people who are drinking sugary soda. We consume tons of sugar. It activates our reward center, so it can be hard to get away from it. It increases serotonin, but then it depletes it. So watch out for your sugar. Fat, most of the brain is omega-3 fat, so it's good to get your omega-3s. Dr. Drew Ramsey is a psychiatrist in the States who says get your long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, and he prescribes these to his patients and sees them do much, much better when they are including these in their diet. Our mitochondria are made from fat, so if you have fat that's not high quality, then your mitochondria probably aren't working as well. Your immune system is supported by the gut, and when that balance goes off in your gut, then you can get inflammation and cytokines created from the inflammation, and the brain can react to that because your gut's interacting with your blood, and your blood goes to your brain, and then your brain can get inflamed, and that can lead to problems with thinking clearly, feeling like you're burnt out, and even depression has been linked to inflammation in the brain. So these are, again, newer studies, but they're interesting to be aware of and to continue to follow. Okay, how am I at for time? Okay, so heavy metals. There's a lot of different metals in our environment, in our food, and we now know that different people process these metals differently. So you might have a genetic profile that means that if there's mercury in your food, it doesn't bother you, you detoxify it out of your system, no problem. But someone else might start to accumulate it in their body, and that can lead to problems with digestion or thinking clearly, so you might need to be tested for that. There's another naturopathic doctor, Joe Pizzorno, has found that DDT elevations, so that's a liver enzyme, can be correlated to too many toxins in the body. That's interesting. Intermittent fasting, I've heard of that, that's becoming more and more popular. It also increases BDNF, similar to the amount that it increases when you exercise, reduces disease markers, reduces oxidative stress, helps you preserve learning and memory function, and slows disease processes in the brain. So in summary, support your gut health, check for deficiencies, avoid sugar, eat omega-3 fats, Be cautious with gluten. I didn't really talk as much about that, but sensitive to gluten can create a lot of inflammation as well. Avoid your heavy metals and toxins. Maybe go down to the States and get genetic profiling. There's a clinic that does that down there. Eat good food, whole food, reduce your processed food. Consider intermittent fasting, which if you're a super busy professional, you might just do anyways. And consider developing all this with a relevant specialist. Okay. Just a picture of a person enjoying water, because I love water. Okay, so I've been talking a lot about the brain throughout this because that's my passion area. It's very interesting that when you are under chronic stress for 3 weeks, 21 days or more, you actually start to lose some of your branching of your neurons. So it sounds kind of scary, but you can regrow those back with more relaxation, the parasympathetic involvement, more BDNF, exercise. But stress does have a really significant impact on your brain and on the branching of your neurons. Cortisol gets increased. This can affect your hormones, especially testosterone and progesterone. When you build your cortisol, you steal building blocks from your other hormones. So when your body's in overdrive and creating a lot of cortisol, you're kind of stealing from these other areas. Cortisol that is high also increases aging. So you're going to get more wrinkles in your skin, lose more hair if you have a lot of cortisol, because there's actually little tiny receptors in your hair follicles and on your skin that respond to hormonal changes in the body. And then there's a woman in UCLA named Tiffany Cruikshank. She also teaches yoga as well. And when she was doing this mindfulness work with people, she found that with the mindfulness, their cortisol levels went down and also their waistlines went down. So over the course of a month, so that's how significant stress is. That's a little diagram of stress. Lose your branches and then relax, you get more branches back. Images of the brain. So a little bit what I was talking about before, you can see how the spines of the neurons, the branches change with learning. So another thing that's important is if you're a driven professional, you're going to want to tackle that project and go on it. And there's this idea that you can work tirelessly, you can marathon the project. But when you do that, you're actually in a beta brainwave state. And you're actually fatiguing yourself, because if you do that for too long, you're going to get tired, your decision making is going to go down, you're going to have more errors, you're not going to be as effective. So you actually need to daydream in your day. You need to take moments where you just stare out the window or look at something else on your computer or listen to some music or chat with someone, because that's going to actually recharge your brain and allow you to then problem solve more effectively. So these are studies that have been done, including with a group of, with various groups, and including physics students who, when they kept working on problems over and over, then they lost their ability to solve the problems effectively. So those are your brain waves. Beta is one at the top, the green, alpha is the yellow. Some studies showing how to get into your different brain waves. Another picture of Tofino. Okay, I like this quote from Dr. Mike Hyman. He's doing a lot of really great work on diet and nutrition in the States and healing people from a lot of chronic disease. So he also talks about the importance of emotional health being a cornerstone for your health. So when we have too much stress, we actually get changes in the brain. So our amygdala actually gets more active, we get scared more, and we get aggressive more. We lose more of our medial PSC, so that's our logic, thinking clearly. We change cortisol levels that we talked about before, and we also decrease our dopamine, our serotonin, and our norepinephrine. So this is all going to affect your emotions and also your degree of self-control. So this is where psychotherapy comes in, because when you're having these emotional imbalances, so you can change some of that to, your parasympathetic, deep breathing, your alpha brainwave state, your exercise, etc. But you also might have things like issues from your past or ways that you see the world that cause you to keep seeing stress or threat where there isn't stress or threat. And psychotherapy can help you accept and see those things so you're no longer blind to them, and then shift to a different lens on the world. It also teaches I can handle it. When you think I can't handle this anymore, you're actually creating more stress chemicals in your body. When you think I can handle this, I got this, then you're actually decreasing those stress chemicals in your body. So that brings me to mindfulness. So mindfulness is that acceptance, and it's also the deep breathing that triggers your parasympathetic system through the diaphragm engagement and the vagus nerve. And then it's after that. Okay, have you seen this before? A couple of you have, I think. This is the HeartMath website information about our heart rate variability. So this is my 6th point here, which is about energy. So we're just starting to touch on the electromagnetic aspects of health, and a lot of that has been kind of woo-woo in the past. Maybe like how the Tesla and how electric cars have been kind of not used until now. So there's an institute called HeartMath that is measuring the electromagnetic field of the heart and seeing that it's incoherent when we're stressed or frustrated or angry. And you can see a mimic of this when you look at how variable the heart rate is. So a heart rate isn't perfectly the same, it can vary a little bit, but when it varies a lot, that's often when we're running a negative emotion. So we can switch this by running a more positive emotion like appreciation, kindness, compassion. And this also will correlate to more health in the body. Heart rate variability, I don't know if anyone's a cardiologist here, but if you have poor heart rate variability, you're actually more prone to a heart attack. So it is very relevant to physical health as well. I don't know if you've heard of RTMS, but right now there's a newer approach to depression where you apply an electromagnetic field to Tesla, to the brain, and the brain reacts by changing its mind. So someone might be having a gambling addiction and a craving, they just want to get out of the casino, and you put this field on that part of the brain, on their DLPSC, the place that assigns value, and you change the way that area is working, kind of maybe halt it a bit with the magnetic field, and then the person no longer says, oh, I value this casino, I need to go to the casino. It changes the way they think. And that's because basically our brain is neurons that are sending an electrical signal. So anything that sends an electrical signal in one direction creates a magnetic field around it. And when you alter that magnetic field, you alter the way those neurons are working. So we have a lot of electromagnetic fields around us, so much that if we want to measure the electromagnetic field of the brain, the EMF, we have to do it in a very protected room. Our EMF of our brain is very close to the brain, very tiny. Our heart's electromagnetic field is very large, it's about 8 feet out from us. So could the heart's electromagnetic field be kind of like a TMS that we're putting on our brain? So if we shift our emotional state, do we then shift our thoughts? So, not sure, I don't have time right now, but it's an interesting exercise to put yourself in a really positive, feeling state in your heart and notice if you can think negative thoughts. And then switch that, put yourself in a negative state, you feel frustrated, annoyed, notice how easy it is to think positive thoughts. So, interesting way you can play with this. Of course, there's a lot of other influences. The Earth's magnetic field is 7.8 hertz, so it's pretty strong, but something interesting to think about. So the brain's field is 1/60th the amplitude, it's 0.01 picotesla, whereas the heart's field is 60 times the amplitude of the brain, and it's 100 picotesla. I think I'm almost close to time, so I'll just end on this last few slides. So nature is super powerful. You might have heard of that already. Shinrin Yoku is forest bathing or forest walking. It's supported in Japan by the nation. It's funded. People go on forest walks for their health. It reduces blood pressure, heart rate. There's phytonicides released in the air that help your immune system get healthier and stronger, increases cells that kill cancer. Blue mindfulness is a concept that we use at the homestead in Tofino, which is that when you're on or near water, in water, you feel a lot better. Basically, there's a lot more to that, as you can see there. Surfing's really powerful and recharging us, increasing dopamine, serotonin. Hiking has also showed positive benefits as well. I love this quote, wilderness is not a luxury but a necessity in the human spirit. That's to be known. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so these are just some factors to think about, and almost done. If you're at risk, some ways to reduce risk. If you're having consequences from burnout, some ways to reverse consequences. And that's the website for my wellness practice if you want to go there. Okay, thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Love. Certainly a nice opening to speaking about burnout here, which, you know, for my own kind of takeaway, just how much there is that's going on, which on the one hand can be kind of overwhelming, like, oh wow, like to combat these things, there's a lot going on. But then on the other hand, it's like, wow, look at all the targets that we could go in and make changes in and really start to move things in a positive direction.